Here at West Bank, we're really excited to sponsor Real Success, a new CBJ series featuring Iowa City's own Nate Kaeding. 2018 marks West Bank's 125th year of helping business owners and entrepreneurs find their own versions of success, whether that be opening a new store, planning for retirement, or anything in between. Please enjoy this edition of Real Success, hosted by Nate Kaeding, and thanks for watching.
Michelle, thank you for joining us here on Real Success. We're here at the BluPrairie International Headquarters here in Coralville. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk with us. But today I want to chat about, here on each one of these episodes, we talk a bit about success and how we deconstruct maybe one specific pillar of success. What I want to run by you, I always admire folks like you that are small business owners, you've got families, you've got all these other responsibilities, and how you go about packing everything into one day. So I kind of want to just spend today just focusing a bit on how you organize your day, how you plan your day for success, how you plan your week, how you manage the people that work with you, how they have a successful day as well. So just kind of dive into that a little bit. But I think the best place to start would be, how has your day changed from when you wake up to when you go to bed, and now that you're in the small business world, running your own business, versus your previous career when you were with Rockwell Collins and more of a corporate environment? How has your, each day sort of changed for you?
Well, it's interesting because I've been in IT for over 25 years, which is kind of a 24/7 world, mm-hmm. right? So you're always on, you're always waiting for things to happen, and you learn just through being in IT that you have to pause and take those moments when they come to you, when you have a little bit of downtime, doesn't matter what time of the day it is. Sure. So my life as an entrepreneur really hasn't changed that much because of that kind of career upbringing that I had. But I'm a planner. Mm-hmm. I'm a planner and an organizer. There's no doubt about that. And I kind of live by the world of, what are my top 5 things for the week? Because making sure that I'm focusing on priorities rather than just fire drills of the day. Right. And there are definitely fire drills, but it's all about just prioritizing what those things mean. Obviously, customers come first. Sure. Internal things and process improvements kind of come after that. And obviously, always the top priority is balancing sales. As I've gotten started, the hardest part has been wearing all of the hats, mm-hmm. In terms of, being the CEO and founder and the CFO and the VP of sales, right. and all of those things.
There's a lot of pieces of a
yes.
pie that's only so big, right?
Yes,
yeah.
And as we've grown, being able to delegate those activities to other people is terrific. Mm-hmm. So, but my team is also really helpful in the prioritization process because everybody is a utility player. No one has a singular role. Sure. So it makes it easy for me to hand off things when I need to and for them to be able to kind of pass things amongst themselves to be able to get done. Right. So we really handle prioritization in terms of our customer, our paying gigs and our paying projects for customers, the sales activity, and then dealing with the stuff internally that we need to. But we come together from a weekly standpoint and talk about that as a group. Sure. And just make sure that everybody knows, who's doing what when. And then when all of a sudden one of those fire drills jumps in, the really good part is you're not in it alone, right? Everybody's right there with you, jumping, reprioritizing, and juggling. So
you mentioned the team meetings, the weekly team meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a bit about what all goes down there. What's the process? And when you guys sit down around this table, what are you have those 5 priorities up and listed, or is it more fluid than that, or is there an actual structure to those meetings? How does that work?
So our project and program managers actually manage the daily deliverable pieces. I usually get involved if there's more escalation types of activities. Okay. The 5 items that I really referred to are the things that I have to make sure that I get taken care of to make sure that I'm propelling the company and stuff forward in the way that I want to. Mm-hmm. Luckily Troy, who's our program manager, he takes care of making sure that all the deliverable things are squared away. And like I said, if there's escalations or things that I need to get engaged in, then I'll do so in that type of a forum. But We use a lot of collaboration tools as well. We're a Google shop and stuff here at the company. And so that allows us to collaborate in real time on a very regular basis. And so we use a lot of chat capability, a lot of Google Hangout and Meet capabilities to be able to accomplish those things. So meetings don't have to take so long in that regard.
Keep the day super efficient.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How about outside of work, if you were to look at a perfect day for you, are there certain routines that you need to get in, whether that's something that happens in the morning or some sort of workout or something that you're eating or a certain time you're doing? How about personal stuff throughout the day? If you were to look at what a perfect day would be, what are some of those personal things that you're doing?
Yeah, so I mean, typically I always want to make sure that at least a couple times a week I'm getting a solid workout in, and I do that with a trainer because I treat that like a meeting to make sure that I'm there and attending, so that it doesn't get kind of prioritized.
Blocking that on your schedule.
Have to block that on my schedule to make sure that I can get that in. But the other things I make sure that I take time to do is, we have two daughters, both one in Dallas and one in Denver, and they work night shift as nurses, and so making time for calls with them in the morning at 7 a.m. when they're coming on shift or 7 p.m. when they're coming off shift is really important for me to do, to make sure that we're really staying connected in the ways that I want to.
Sure.
So that I'm also keeping life balanced. And then home things that we enjoy doing, that Annie and I enjoy doing. We like to play golf together. We like to be outside. We're big hikers.
Sure.
And making sure that we, take some time to try to get those things in as well.
Get that done. Great.
Absolutely.
Is there like a set wake up time for you that you feel like if you could have we all have awful sleeping schedules. I understand that. But with 4 kids, ours is always thrown off. But what's like the perfect hours of sleep at night, and you're going to bed at this time and waking up at this time? If you were to
usually I'm if I'm in bed about 11, that's great, and I'm up by 5, or sometimes 3:30 in the morning. So my staff will tell you that it's not uncommon for them to wake up and have a litany of either emails or a whole bunch of chats that have come their way, and they've just kind of gotten used to knowing if it's something that has to be taken care of or not taken care of. But that's also when I do my thinking.
For the phone?
Immediately.
Right
Immediately.
Away. It's on the nightstand?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, the priority is finding my glasses and then finding my phone, right? The two, that's the sequence of events to be able to get things done. But,
That's good. What obstacles, or what in this line of work with BluPrairie as running the company, what are some things that could get thrown into your day, some wrenches that might happen on a regular occasion to kind of throw things off? What are some of those bigger pitfalls for you that you run into during the course of a day that throws you off that perfect? We all start with that perfect calendar of the day, and
of course,
and get you thrown off a little bit. What are some of those obstacles?
I think, and I wouldn't really call them obstacles. I would call it more opportunities, right? So the biggest thing for us is if we get a sales opportunity that comes in that we were planning on working on a project-related item, and we need to turn a proposal really quickly for a customer.
Sure.
That's just the nature of it's a good challenge and stuff to have. If there are issues that come up with a project where we have to make a decision in a really timely manner, meaning we have to replace a technology if a customer is having a challenge or an issue, or we have to help a customer through a crisis time, which is a lot of what we do, and part of being a good partner is that if they're having a challenge, we've got to make sure that we're in it with them, right? And that can throw a little bit of a wrench in our day, but at the end of the day, it's providing the service that the customer needs.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to kind of be at your customers.
Absolutely.
Beck and call, especially in your line of work, and
absolutely.
People like me that don't know much about technology, that's a pretty regular occurrence, I'm sure. You talked a bit about planning your day, but how about like reflecting back at the end of the day or the end of the week? You structure much time to kind of look back and see if I did check these things off throughout the course of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, for me personally, that checklist or being able to check a box is important. I might not be able to get it checked until later in the week, right, when I have time to actually sit down and look at the list and reflect on the list. So there's always that feeling of satisfaction and stuff in that way. But I also try to make sure that I'm reflecting on saying thank you. That's a really important part of kind of who I am, either thank you to my team or thank you to a customer, or, placing a call to a customer just to do a check-in and see how they're doing.
Yeah.
So I always want to make sure that I'm looking back and serving others as a part of that whole process.
Yeah. Was that thank you piece or showing that gratitude to folks, was that something that you picked up early on in your career, or part of your upbringing when you really engineered that into your daily, weekly routine?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was really just kind of how I was raised. I was raised by, in Kelowna, Iowa, and stuff by a small business owner. So my dad was a small business owner and owned an insurance agency. My mom cleaned houses and was a sole proprietor and stuff for years. And you were always just taught that the customer and people mattered most. And always making sure that I'm putting people at the center of what I do and not just the transaction or the business or the sale, because everything starts with people and relationships. It doesn't matter what you're doing. And if I'm short-sighted on that, then I feel as though I'm short-sighted in the values that I was taught in a family business, right?
Absolutely.
And that business still stands 55 years later, so it's been a pretty good success criteria.
Yeah.
Right?
How's your dad in the insurance business? What are some other lessons that you learned from watching him and seeing the success of that business?
Yeah, I think it was always being available for customers. I've worked in the world of IT, which has been 24/7, but my dad was in the world of insurance, and if he got a phone call at 2 o'clock in the morning that, there was maybe a fire at a farm with a barn, he wasn't the guy that just, waited till 8 o'clock the next morning and filed a claim. He was the guy that got up out of bed, rolled up his sleeves, and just went out to help in any way that he could.
Yeah, that's great.
And so I think that just always resonated in terms of who I wanted to be and how I wanted to be able to work with customers and partners.
Sure. And then just the final question in one sentence, how do you define success?
For me, it's all about relationships. If I've built really, really good relationships that allow the customer to grow, allow the people that are around me to be able to grow, my employees to grow, and that creates mutual good outcomes, that's important for me.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Nate.